Hello, good afternoon. Welcome Bank Holiday Monday to the FindYourWHY Foundation Wise Words of the Day. On myself, Cheryl Chapman, inside, but outside is a beautiful day. And from my Moroccan friend.
I'm melting in the heat. I'm absolutely melting. So,
You look like a bloody land girl before. I was like, that's not.
Keeping me cool.
Keeping her cool because of her long hair. And so this is where we answer a why question of the day that has been raised from the wise women of the Live Love Laugh Lounge or from the wise men from the Man Cave. And so today the question is, why does nobody seem to know what they want? Now, I think we may have covered this within some of the other questions, actually, because I feel compelled to say what they want, what they really, really want, and go all zig-a-zig-a Spice Girls. And I know we've done that before. But the question is, why is it that people do not seem to know what they want? I mean, it's not everybody, nobody. There comes those exaggerations again, don't they?
Yes.
But the question is, why is it that nobody seems to know what they want? What do you think, Marion Bevington? What are your thoughts for the day?
No, see, I do remember doing this before. I don't know. Well, one of the things I think is because there's too much choice. For a start, that's a killer, isn't it? There is so much choice. I mean, it's not always easy to choose when there's two things. Do you want this one or that one? But it can be easier when you do that. But the world that we live in is just so incredible. There is so much technology and so many things, so many places to go, so many things to do, so many things to eat. There is just this never-ending choice, it seems. And it gets quite stressful because there are so many things to choose from. And then when you stress, it's very difficult to make a decision. so
it's overwhelming, because there's so. Yeah.
So we're kind of screwed, really, because, it's not like the choices are going to get any less. I mean, there might be an Armageddon. Oh, do you know what I heard last week? Do you know what Armageddon means?
No, I've no idea.
Lifting of the veils.
Oh, interesting.
That's all it means. The arrival of the light. Stuff like that. It doesn't mean what we think it does. Which is
darling.
Catastrophe. It doesn't mean that at all. It actually means the lifting of the veils and the arrival of the light, which is beautiful. So when that day comes, it might be easy. We might know what we want because there'll be less to choose from. But I think it's just because there is so much choice around us. And then that, coupled with the stress of having the overwhelm, plus people not really knowing, we don't look into the future positively. We usually look into the future negatively. We look for fear. We look to see where the problems are. Whereas when you begin to look into the future to look for what could be great, what could be amazing, what could be better than, what could be easier than, when we start looking at positive things, I think that starts to make it easier to make decisions as well, doesn't it? Because you begin to see what you do want. This idea of there being complete overwhelm and being really stressed and having quite a negative outlook on life, which we've been programmed to do that. The media do a very, very good job. Religion before them. I think religion is the old media, isn't it? It's like showing you all this stuff where you're bad, where you're not enough, where you're under whatever it is, underperforming, under-delivering. All of these things, they do, again, push us into places where we get confused. And when we're in confusion, making a decision is really tricky.
I know in terms of religion, in terms of, like if it is all negative, it's just bad news. But actually, I mean, maybe it's because I grew up, on Bible studies and things. I think that there is a good side to religion in the fact that, it can be positive, you can have faith, whatever that religion is, as long as it's something that helps you to be the best that you can be. That sounds quite competitive, though, doesn't it? Just to be who you are. Do you know what I mean? Just to be the best version of yourself. I don't mean necessarily competitive against somebody else. What I do love about the Bible is the stories. I mean, they're amazing. Fabulous characters. So, yeah, but I agree with you, Miles. I think that there's too much choice. Although, did I say, I don't know if I told you about this. I was reading this thing about eating habits. And I think it may have been Marissa again. I know I keep going on about Marissa. And she was saying that, because there's so much choice, the best thing to do if you want to, eat a healthy diet and not overeat is to actually not have as much choice. Because if you only have like it's a bit like if you eat the same meal all the time. I'm not recommending this. I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that. But can you imagine if you ate your favourite food every single day, you would actually get bored of it.
And your body would get undernourished as well, because the body likes a variety of stuff. Because if you think about the seasons, and that the seasonally stuff changes. So if we're eating the stuff every day, we are out of balance with nature as well.
Yeah, I won't say anything for that reason, though. Sorry. I hadn't finished.
Sorry. Well, carry on.
The point that I was trying to make was that, even if you ate the same food every single day, I'm not talking about nutritional wise, but just from a point of view, I love this, I love that, I love cream cakes, I don't know, whatever that might be. And I'm not talking about from a nutritional point of view, but you would get fed up of eating the same food. And so nutritionally, if you can then replace it with what Maz is saying there, like to have a bit of variety, but not too much variety, but that's healthy food. Again, you don't have that urge to eat just because it's something new. Does that make sense? Like if you were eating, I don't know, let's say you're eating a raw food diet, you're eating carrots and apples and lettuce and salads and stuff like that every day, you would only then eat when you were hungry. You wouldn't eat just for the sake of eating by going, oh, look, shiny, bright new food for me to try. Let's try this or let's try that. Even if it is like really, really good, you'd still overeat because you don't need that many calories really to eat. And particularly if you're like me, you never move from this chair, which is what sometimes it feels like, other than to get into a car and then onto an aeroplane or a train and then get back into the car, etc. And I know I need to exercise. I get it. Just say so. Now Maz isn't talking in case she says the wrong thing in the wrong place. So what I was trying to say there was like, if because of the variety, it can also help you be a little bit excessive, I think. Too many choices, don't know what to do. Oh, fuck it, let's have a go at everything then. Try that bit as well. Yeah, so definitely. In terms of like why people don't know what they want, one, okay, too much to choose from, can't make their mind up. But also, I think there's this thing about. I was just laughing today. I don't know if you've seen on Facebook. I posted some pictures of you and one of the little boys that's staying with me at the minute, the family. And he came in with this little dangly thing hanging off his ear, like a little plastic. What did we used to call it? Them things, slinky things, little plastic slinky hanging off his ear. I went, oh, that's a nice earring. I wonder what else you can do with that. And then in about 3 seconds, he'd come up with like all these different ways of putting this thing on. I was just taking pictures of him. And it is, I think it's because we kind of lose our creativity as well. So what do we want? Don't really know. That just seems to be the standard answer, doesn't it? And I've heard myself say it. I don't know, really. Don't really know what I want to do. So maybe it's the fact that, we start being at school, we start being, chastised for looking out the window, being creative, whatever it is. And so then I suppose we just go into this place of, I don't really know then, because I'm not really quite sure if what I say isn't going to be the right thing. What do you think, Maz?
I don't know. I think that, that's all really true, that there's, again, we're programmed to do what other people tell us to do rather than what we want to do. So we lose the ability to even know what we want because we're so busy doing what we're told. So the other day, didn't I tell? There's quite a few comments about being told when to die or what to do when you're dead. Get in your coffin. The other one is their fear of missing out. Massive. FOMO. Seen recently.
FOMO reward.
Very recently, it's like fear of missing out. And it's massive for some people, isn't it? Tremaine, the guy that my teacher will work with regularly, it's something that he's got. And it actually, it's funny the way it manifests in him because he makes a decision that he wants to. So let's say we're doing a workshop and he's got a 2-hour drive to get home. So we'll make a decision. So I need to be in the car about 5:30 so I can get home about 7:30 because I'll be hungry for me tea or whatever it is. He's got this kind of half-baked plan in his head. Anyway, 5:20 comes and he's getting all itchy and scratchy. And if he's a bit late, he gets, it's funny, he turns, it's like you get a bit Jekyll and Hyde, and he turns into this snappy, short-tempered, abrupt, quite aggressive person that he never normally is. But he goes really, really weird when he's ready to go. And one, because I work with him a lot, and we pick out, we unpack all our processes. And for him, part of this process is this fear of missing out. And he'll sit there laughing. He'll go, I'm going home for my tea. I know what's in the fridge. What can I possibly be missing out on? But there is this, oh my God, I might miss it. And another way it manifests for him is when he's watching DVDs or films or things. They don't do DVDs anymore, do they? When he's downloading videos. If he misses a word or two, we'll go and rewind it. In case
wow, really?
Really important. Again, it's this fear of missing out. And he does have a little bit of OCD. I know that because I call it triple Virgo myself. I think
you know that one.
It's a different name, same process. So yeah, I think that's another aspect of trying to, because when we are constantly told what to do, we have to start trying to second guess what it is so that we can get on with it. And then that means we're totally outside of our own needs and desires, because what we're trying to do is to fulfill this thing that somebody else has told us that we should do. So we're definitely completely programmed out of, serving ourselves, looking after ourselves. We're told that is selfish. Well, I think that selfish is the new black. I think everyone should do it.
Well, interesting to talk about the selfish on a slightly different level, and not. Well, I suppose it is to do with why don't people know what they want? I was listening to the amazing Mel Robbins. I don't know if you've listened to her.
The 5-second one.
5 second, yeah, exactly, yeah.
1, get off your arse.
Yeah, the 5 second rule. And I was listening to her, Kick-Ass, I think, Kick-Ass series, and she was doing a coaching session with this particular lady who said that she wanted to lose weight. And it was absolutely fascinating. She was talking to this lady and she was saying, well, why is it that, you feel that you can't lose weight? And there's this big thing about, if you can't lose weight and you're an emotional eater, ask me how I know about that, that it is all around emotion, childhood trauma, which of course could be dropping the ice cream. It doesn't have to be anything majorly. But in this particular lady's case, she had been abused not as a child, I think, but definitely, I think, it was a story. And basically, she'd been to see a therapist who clearly, didn't know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I think that the therapist had said to her, "Oh yes, it's a childhood trauma. That's what it is." And then it turned out actually it was nothing to do with that. So she thought that the reason why she was fat was because obviously she was eating too much, and she was eating too much because of this childhood trauma that she'd been told about. When actually, turned out she was a narcissist. Is a narcissist? Is that the right word? Narcissist. As in it was all about her. And basically, what was revealed in this coaching session was that the reason why she was so big was actually she didn't want to lose her weight because her weight made her stand out because she was the fattest person in the room. Because actually, she was really competitive. So she was so. Being the fattest in the room meant she was ticking the competitive box. She was allowed to pull the sympathy vote. Oh, I was abused as a child or a teenager or whatever it was. Oh, I overeat, emotionally. And Mel had got her to this point where she was like, and how do you, how does this weight serve you in terms of other relationships? And she said, well, I never get close to anybody, but of course I blame that on my weight. And she was bossing her husband around, it is because of her weight. And actually, the truth was, at that stage, she didn't want to lose the weight because if it had made herself skinny, that would have then meant that she would have just fit in with everybody else. But actually, at the end of it, and I must admit, I did like the way that Mel Robbins was coaching because she actually said to this woman, "Look, do you want to continue to be a selfish, heartless, fat bastard or something?" I mean, I can't remember the exact words, but that was a flavour of it. And it was kind of like, oh my gosh, she was like, oh, would you like to be a skinny, nice person or something like? I can't remember exactly how she put it. It's worth having a listen. I'm sure it'll be on YouTube. But basically, she was pretty tough with her, and she'd explained before, that this because she wanted to really get to the end, to the core of the issue. And she said, because while you are this narcissistic person, and it's all about you, and you hate having any attention on anybody else because you're like, but I want to do, I'm better than all the rest of it, then you're not going to be a very nice person. And it was only then that she actually did decide that yes, she wanted to lose her weight. So really the question is, sometimes we don't know what it is that we want, but also the reason why. I think that's also a really important thing. What do you want and why do you want it? Because I can say, oh, I want to lose 3 stone, but if I don't have a reason, if I don't have, a desire to really do that, anyone can say anything.
Yes.
I just want to say hello to lovely Elizabeth Goddard, who's joined us. Hello, Elizabeth. Hope you are well on this sunny day. I don't know if you are in the garden listening to us out and about, or you're just coming from the sunshine, but welcome. We're talking today, of course, about why is it that nobody seems to know what they want. And we obviously realised that it's not everybody or nobody. Well, does nobody know or does everybody know? I don't know. And we've talked about the fear of missing out, about the fact that there's so much choice in the world. And then it's really about, do you really know why you want what you want? Because otherwise there's no energy behind it, is there, Maz?
No, absolutely. That's the whole thing about living for other people's expectations rather than for your own. And it's what's really magic about understanding this behaviour when you do start to see it in yourself. Because you're right about when you call people on it or when you get called on it yourself, it's undeniable. When you're with somebody who knows how to ask the right questions. So there's a client that I've got, and she was talking about relationships and controlling relationships and wearing the trousers. And it was funny because the way she was talking about it, she was perceiving, she was sharing with me that was what this guy that she had been interested in was doing. But actually all I could hear was that was what she was doing. And she was getting annoyed because he was competing with her on it. And so I just said it. I said, all right. And do you think he wants to be in such a controlling relationship? She went, what do you mean? I went, well, you're obviously controlling him to the... She went, you fucking bitch. And it was great because I didn't say it. I mean, she didn't actually say that with any malice, but it was like, oh my God, how dare you see my wound, or how dare you see my shit, if you like. And it was because, again, if you ask the right sort of questions, and they're always the simplest questions, they're not complicated questions that you ask. When you ask really clear, simple questions, it's called clean language. People have to really open up honestly in order to answer the question. Otherwise, they can't even answer it. And so it's good to understand that when you start to see that this shit is there, you can call your therapist, you fucking bitch. She goes, thank you very much, because that's what I did.
Well, there's always this thing, isn't it? I know when Marion's done a lot of work with me, and there's the little, 5-year-old or 10-year-old or whoever she is inside just goes, I'm tired now. And really, we should, I'm giving her permission now to push through that, because that's where the meat is. Because that's just when I actually don't want to talk about this shit. It's like, actually, I don't want to talk about this at all.
Yes.
I have to admit as well, like when people come on the retreats and they'll say to us, I want to set this intention, this is what I want. And then you say something like, I can't remember who it was now. But anyway, somebody wanted to give up potatoes. And we're like that. Potatoes, really? And they're like, no, I really love potatoes. I do know who it is, but I won't mention it just in case. I won't mention it just in case. And we were like, really? Do you know what I mean? They were like, yeah, definitely. I was like, that's really going to motivate you, to not give up potatoes. So we do kind of have to be that person who goes, really? Are you sure that's what it is? Do you really think that's what it is? I've got a client at the minute that I've been working with, and she's been doing absolutely brilliantly. And then every now and again she'll have this little dip again. And now I know that we've cleared out quite a lot of the past traumas, if you like. We've been moving on, she's been moving forward. And the reality of it is, she just wanted to leave her job. And it's almost like she's been waiting for someone to say, well, just resign. And I just said to her the other day, look, what is it that if you could do something right now that would just make you feel happy, what would you do right now? And she said, I would walk out of this place right now and leave this job. And so I just said resign. And then after that, there was a big smiley face, or a yoga sitting person, you know what I mean? And it was almost like she was waiting for someone to just say, it'll be all right. I mean, the truth of the matter is she doesn't need anybody's permission. But sometimes I think we get so used to, like you said, Maz, being told what we should do, when we should do it, what we shouldn't do. Be quiet. Don't do this. Don't, put your hand up before you raise your hand up if you want to go to the toilet. Do you know what I mean? It's got all this kind of conditioning that we almost forget that we are in charge of us. You're in charge of your own destiny, really.
Absolutely. I actually pissed myself in the classroom when I was 16. No, not really.
last week in yoga.
Yes. I was I think I was 5. I was in the first class of the youngest school, so I was out of nursery. And I remember standing at the desk waiting for the teacher to come back in because she'd gone out of the room, so I could ask her if I could go for a wee. So I'd learned already that I wasn't allowed to piss until somebody told me I could. And my little body was only 5, and it didn't know how to hold on to piss for that long. So it ended up on the floor and in my socks and in my shoes. And I've still got because obviously that was quite a big trauma to happen, because I'm there and I'm in front of all these kids that I didn't really know very well. So I must have been quite fresh at school as well. And I was one of the eldest in the class because my birthday's in September. And I actually remember the teacher saying, oh, and I thought you were a big girl. That whole humiliation thing because I pissed myself. And, if I'd have had the mind I've got now, I'd have been able to say, oh, and I thought you were looking after children.
Let's say hello to a couple of our lovely ladies here. So Fawzia has joined us. Hello, Fawzia. How are you, lovely? Nice to see you. Elizabeth is saying it's the questions that stop you. Yeah, exactly. Just those moments. It's a bit like when Maz said to me, oh, I think you've got to be careful, when she was doing the original therapy work on me, when she conned me, and cajoled me and was brilliant with me all at the same time. And my mind went, oh my God, they found out. It's that kind of moment where you go, oh, I have nowhere to hide here. Like I'm being called on my own shit, right? Because I've been hiding it from everybody else. That's absolutely right. Yeah, and Elizabeth, it's all about permission. Yeah, we've been taught to, just say exactly what we want. Fawzia is saying, I can relate to that, Marion. Mine was due to early trauma. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it is due to early trauma. What we were just saying before, Fawzia, I know you just joined us, is that sometimes, if you don't go to the right people who ask you the right questions, you could end up with like this baggage that you think the reason why I do X, Y, and Z is because of, traumas that actually isn't the real reason. You've got to be really, be with someone who knows how to ask the right questions in order to get to the right answers for you, because it's easy to just go, oh yeah, that must be it, because it comes back to being told what to do. I'm going to tell you that this is your problem. Yes. Well, you know in your heart, in your gut, the majority, 70% of the world knows in their gut, whether or not something is right. So it's easy for us to just label things. And
we are so disconnected from our bodies as well. And I think this is another huge reason, actually, why we don't know what we want. It's because the body does know what it wants. The body knows what it wants. It knows what it needs. And we're so conditioned that the being in your head is important. So head teacher, head boy, head girl, head monitor. All of this idea that being in the head is the top possible way to be. It's the best way to be. Means that, and the head, the system that we use, the genetic blueprinting system, is that I love the theory behind it, where it's spoken about the head and the energy of the head is actually about how we interact and how we serve others. And it's really got nothing to do with ourselves. So our head is our social tool, and the heart is our personal tool. And so while we're disconnected from our personal self, while we're disconnected from our body, from feeling what's going on in our body, because we've been taught to, because we are supposed to do as we're told, whether we like it or not. And you hear that as a kid, don't you? You do as you're told, whether you like what we did in our house anyway. Do as you're told, whether you like it or not. Well, I'm being told to ignore my body. So you have to ignore whether you like it. You have to ignore whether you don't like it. And it's the body that knows likes. The mind has got all the conditioning, and it's got the shoulda, woulda, couldas going on up there. But the body has got the yes, I like this, or no, I don't like this. Yes, I want this, or no, I don't. The body has got that information. And again, it's older, and I love to slag off the old systems or the current systems that are dying. So the education system is one of them. Just being taught that the head is the ruler, that the head is the most important, that the head is in charge. That alone is enough to cut us off, to disconnect us from the body, which is full of brilliance, because the head doesn't know how to clean the blood. The spleen does that. The head doesn't know how to turn your food into poo and get rid of the bits you don't want, because your intestines do that. Your body's got all this amazing knowledge, and there's us going, oh yes, I'll be head girl, and ignore all of the great stuff that's going on below the neck. So I think that's another reason why people don't know what they want, because we are, as a race, as a human race, we are absolutely disconnected from our bodies.
Yeah. Elizabeth saying your body knows better than the conscious mind. Absolutely. And she's met so many people who've taken a career path to impress their parents. Yeah, absolutely. We know a lot of people like that, don't we? Who particularly the ladies that are in the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge. That's where the wise women are, who are from Asia. Vivian, etc. What got to be a doctor, got to do this, got to do the other. Otherwise you let their family down, etc. So it is definitely.
Yeah, I love hearing.
I don't know what I want because my parents haven't told me yet. In fact, the other night, I was joking actually, the family that stayed with me, Don and Andrea, and we were talking about, we'll order Chinese. So what would you like? And Andrea said, oh, Don likes so and so, and Don likes so and so. And then he looked at her, and she looked at me, and he went, I'll decide what I want to eat if you don't mind. So we're laughing, and he goes, I'll have whatever Andrea says I'm having. which is quite funny. But yeah, we kind of go, and it is as children, you know, you kind of go, is it okay if I have this, and can I have this, and I don't know. There's just this kind of like constant, and again, that's questions, isn't it, from the brain, rather than can I have what I feel like I need to have.
The little ones.
Well, this needs to be taught in schools. 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 Sorry, there you go.
I'm working with these little ones at the moment, you know, and the oldest is 3 and the youngest is 18 months, and they're great because they haven't yet been conditioned out of knowing what they want, and so they seem to fight all the time, but it's because they know what they want. And it's funny, I've noticed that when they see someone enjoying a toy, they want to have the same level of enjoyment, so they go and take the toy off them and then make them cry. We've got these little mirror neurons, haven't we? That there's these things in our mind that are part of our social, the ability for us to grow socially and to become more sociable. These things called mirror neurons, and they're the things like, you know, when you put your mascara on. If you watch your mum put their mascara on, you probably do it exactly the same way because you learned it from her. And these mirror neurons, they make you physiologically imitate what you're looking at, and it's how we learn to survive. Unfortunately, then we go beyond that and we end up, you know, nicking the toys off another kid because we go, I want to enjoy myself as much as they are. Oh, it must be because of that toy. I'll have it. Or with food, you know, you offer them food, and if they want it, they don't want it. Some of them will take it and immediately throw it on the floor, and others will just ignore you and turn away. And it's really interesting because they absolutely know what they want. They really do know what they want. It's not always the best thing for them, but it's really clear they don't have a problem making a decision.
No, not at all. Oh, lovely Fawzia saying that since coming back from the retreat, I'm more in tune with my beautiful body, the power of giving yourself that proper time each day to give yourself that beautiful love. That's absolutely right. So I think that the first element of what do you really want is what is best for you. That would be the first question I'd be asking. You know, what is it that makes you happy? What is it that makes you smile? What is it that makes you realise that you are you and you're brilliant? You know, what are you great at doing? You know, what do you love doing? Maybe you're not so good at something, but you love doing it. You know, and I think the focus has to be on you. And I know we've talked about narcissists. I can never say that word. Anyway, people who are just all about themselves. And Elizabeth is saying now children are narcissists. But I'm kind of wondering if there's a problem with starting with you. Obviously, then of course expand it out and care and share. But you can start, I think, with yourself. What is it that you like doing it? What is it that you like doing it? What is it that you like doing? What is it that, you know, really lights you up? Because again, you're right, you know, doing things for other people. And you know, like how many people will tell you what they think is best for you? And you kind of get to that. So I was just watching something on the TV. I've got, you know, I have my little guilty pleasures.
What is it?
My guilty pleasure at the minute is, I can't remember what the bloody name of the thing is. It's got Benedict Cumberbatch in it, and it's on Showtime TV on Sky. And it's about this guy who was abused by his father as a kid. Very, very posh, very, very posh, you know, they are very, very posh. And he's just said today that in the episode, he's just actually revealed to, you know, one of his friends what has happened to him. But as he was getting into the middle of this, like really opening up to his friend, they're at this posh dinner party. In fact, Princess Margaret's supposed to be attending this dinner party. And they've just gone out into the stately home onto the veranda. And he's about to say, you know, I said that I would never tell anybody this. I really want to tell you something. As the waiter comes up, or one of the assistants comes up and says, "Oh, excuse me, gentlemen," and they're going, "Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's okay. You can leave us." "Oh, no, drinks," and they're not drugs. "Thank you." And then he comes back out again. He goes, "The fireworks will be beginning in a minute." And this guy's trying to bare his soul, and this guy keeps coming up and going, "The fireworks will be on in a moment." And he's just like that. And in the end, he turns around and he goes, "Can you just fucking leave us alone for 5 minutes? Do we not like fucking children? Like, we just want to watch," you know? And obviously it's because of the emotion and everything. I wish I could remember what it was called. Anyway, great program. And I was like, that's it. The problem is, when you get older, and don't get me wrong, of course, there are some people who want to they genuinely care for you and they want you to do what's best for you. But there's just this bit where people just want to lead your life for you. And maybe that's because we've got so used to being told what to do that we feel like we almost have to take their advice. Or maybe we've forgotten how to think for ourselves. I don't know. But I think if you just strip it right back, what is it that you like doing? What is it that you've always loved doing, actually? Because we do this when we do the Find Your Why process, don't we, Maz? We go back, you know, as a child. Your why is already there. You know why you're here. We did this with lovely Fawzia when she came to the retreat and the other ladies at the retreat. We go back in time. What was in your childhood that you really loved doing before you kind of got to this big stage where you felt like you had to do everything for everybody else? Ah, Maya. Hello, Maya. Patrick Melrose, that's it. That's the name of the programme. Hello, lovely Maya. What is it? I mean, Maya's knows everything about what everybody else should be doing because she works with celebrities who are usually told everything they should do, and of course she also helps them to try and sometimes keep a lot of things out of the press. So she knows about that work as well. Yeah, Patrick Melrose. It's brilliant. I love it. So maybe that's what it is. We're so used to being told what to do, when to do it. But you're right. The body knows when to breathe. It doesn't need to be told, breathe now. What do you think, Matt? I'll have a quick look at these.
Yeah, absolutely. And the things that actually prevent the body from working well. So I was talking about your body knows how to make poo. Well, some people are constipated and other people are rather loose. I used to have both. I had IBS for a good few years. I was talking about this to my friend the other day, actually. And I managed to, you're not allowed to say cure, so I won't say that. But I've not had any symptoms but it's since I've known you, I've never had IBS symptoms, have I?
Have it made you constipated?
But it's only because the reason that we do get either constipated or it's because there is stuff going on in the mind. There's unprocessed stuff going on in the mind, and the body needed to do the processing. And the mind has blocked it. And the mind blocks it because of beliefs, because of vows, because of values, because of ideas that the mind has got, that you need to do it this way. And it's always because of something that's happened outside of us that's then guided us to shift our perception or our perspective to taking care of what's outside of us first rather than what's going on inside of us. And I mean, if you are always looking after yourself and nothing else, you could get hit by a car, or you could get, things can happen to you because we are negotiating constantly, navigating through the outside world. So we have to do that. But you need to start from the inside because, that's, as you were saying, that's where all the brilliance is. That's where the part of us that stays alive, it's got no understanding of what colour shoes we've got on or...
I'm just laughing at the irony, actually, because here we are saying, yes, you should do what you want to do. And we're actually telling people what to do. well, slagging off the fact that everybody tells you what to do. We're only just giving suggestions. You don't have to.
Well, actually, that's good because one of the other things that I know, it's a truth of mine, and whether other people believe it or not, I don't care, because it's definitely a truth for me, that when we teach, it's because we haven't yet fully embodied the lesson ourselves. Because if we completely embodied the lesson ourselves, we would just do it. And we wouldn't, it's like we were talking about the other day, wasn't it? People who aren't getting enough talk about it all the time, in whatever way it is. When you're absolutely embodying and doing something, words are not needed. I mean, if people ask you how you do it or what you're doing, then, you might explore a little bit what's going on. But it's funny that we do only teach and we only share the stuff that we're still needing to process and embody within ourselves. So, yeah, good teachers are always good students.
Yeah.
always, always. We are students. You can't be one without being the other.
Oh, funny. Let's have a see what the ladies are saying here. So we've got Fawzia. I remember when my children were younger, I was so absorbed with everyone's needs. It was a distraction. Yeah, it's okay not to know, but to give yourself time to think that.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, isn't it, if you're a mum, because you are actually responsible for this other little being. So I don't envy mums and their self-care needs because you've got all these little ones that you have to take care of as well. It's a big job.
Yeah. Elizabeth is saying, I believe that when we're constipated, we're holding on to emotions, and in reverse, so we can't process our emotions.
It gets stuck in the body, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Truth of mind is a well message. There's a few. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And also teaching is the best learning. When Marion was on about the mirror neurons, one of the ways that I learned to speak was by literally mirroring, somebody that I knew was doing a great job. I could see that they were doing a great job. So, of course, I'm going to mirror them because that's, I want to be like them. Now, of course, you make it into your own, of course. But I think it just has to start with where are you right now and what is it that you need. So that's an interesting thought, Maz. So if when you're teaching, what you're really doing is giving a lesson to yourself, and we know this because actually this last couple of weeks, we've been running the FindYourWHY Foundation for a couple of years, and it started off small and it's starting to evolve, and obviously the tribe is getting bigger now. We've done retreats for the past 3 years in Morocco and in Sheffield, that well-known retreat venue. So exotic, yeah. We've been doing these, and of course we've been learning and growing, but we've always been asking our Find Your Why women or Find Your Why men, what is it that you want? And I've got to be honest, sometimes we don't get a lot of answers. Because again, it comes back, this is one of the reasons why this question's probably come up. Why don't I know what I want?
Yeah.
But what people do like, and again, it comes back to 70% of the world are a responder. Put something in front of them and they can say, yes, I like that, or no, I don't like that. So we now know that we have to put in front of people, do you want to come to Morocco for a retreat in October? And the gut instinct goes, yes, I would. Would you like to come to a retreat in Morocco?
You are funny. You don't have a gut instinct. Can I do that? Can I do that as a gut instinct?
You can do that, because I have no idea what that really means. But I just know that they get a yes or a no.
I'd like to do this thing at this time on this day, and we go, oh, yes. That's what we do. We go, okay.
I'm not one of the 70%, you see. I'm in a little group of the 20% or 21% who actually are not here for me, here to recognise other people. And so that's a lesson I've been learning, because I thought in order to recognise other people, they needed to recognise me first. So anyway, I've had to build that bridge, smash that bridge, and jump over it very quickly, because I realised very quickly that wasn't it. So it is about recognising other people. So so that's where we are at the moment. So what is it you want? What is it you really, really want? Zig, zig, ah. Make a list. Well, we invite you, if you're stuck, to just make a list of what it is that you like doing. And then, of course, if you find your why, that does help you. Because now, when we get up in the morning now, and I still fail to jump out of bed, I've not actually got to the Tigger zone yet.
And the last time I jumped out of bed was Christmas morning. I was 4.
I thought you were going to send a trip to up and bang my head or something. No, I don't do that anymore. But why you've got passion.
Rainbow.
Where?
There.
No, because your name's in the way.
Let me know.
Yes, I can see your rainbow now. Yes, see your rainbow. You can also see Marion's rainbow. Welcome to Planet Marion. So when you know your why, at least it gives you a purpose and a drive to get out of bed for. So even if you don't know what else you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, at least it gives you something to focus on in the morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Elizabeth is just saying, oh, that's the truth of mine as well. A message in there for you as well. Thank you, ladies, for joining us, Fawzia, Maya and Elizabeth. If you're watching this on recording, please join us by giving us some thumbs up, some likes and all the rest of it, and asking your questions in the chat box. And tomorrow we will be back for another why question of the day. If you have a why question of the day, please private message us, post it in Facebook, and we will add it to the list. In the meantime, please remember to live, love and laugh every day. And for now, on this lovely, glorious Bank Holiday Monday, it's goodbye from Hilda Ogden.
Or shall I call you Stan? Goodbye, Stan.
And it's goodbye from Stan. Goodbye, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.